Anyway, I started blasting. Bang, bang.
So after months of waiting for it, the gun update for Nuclear Tech mod is finally here. What you saw in the intro were just two of the special guns that were added along with so many more in this update, along with new machines for making the parts for these guns. Now there is a tier system to it. So in this video, I'm gonna cover all of it. The initial part will be the covering machines, and in the later part, I'm gonna show off all of the guns. So make sure to use the timestamps. Without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Starting this video with the Rotary Furnace, a new 5x3 machine which is used to make all of the alloys in the mod now. Now it takes steam to work along with some coal or basically anything which burns, and the metals which you combine in order to make the alloy. Inputs are on the front and on the side, and the output comes out from the side in the form of liquid metal. So clicking on the recipes, first and foremost it can make a new metal called the weapon steel, which is used to make all of the armor piercing rounds and some of the high tier gun components. Then we have multiple recipes for steel, all giving out different amounts of steel ingots in return. We are also going to make gunmetal by combining aluminum with copper, something which we are going to use a lot in this video. Then we have another recipe for steel. Satanite is made using reformate gas, copper and high-speed steel powder. Dash can also be made in this one because dash is also used to make a lot of gun parts. And finally, two more recipes for steel. So basically that's all the rotary furnace can do. It can process. Now, once set up, it's gonna look something like this. So we have a boiler which will supply it with steam. And make sure the boiler is producing enough steam. Because if we once again go back into the recipes, for example, gunmetal, you will see that the requirement for steam is 100 millibuckets per tick. And this is continuous as long as you are producing gunmetal. So make sure your boiler can produce this amount of steam, and then steam goes in here, gets converted into low pressure steam, which comes out. That then goes in a condenser and gets converted into water back into the boiler. So that's the water loop standard. Then we also have the color coded input. Now this is important because depending on which slot you put the items in is the slot where they are going to end up in the furnace. So basically for the green one, they end up in the green one. If I put them in the red one, then they are going to end up in the red one. So yeah, color coded input to split your conveyor lines accordingly, or you can be like me and use item ducts instead. Basically both of them, the conveyor lines, the item ducts, all of them have blacklist and whitelist. So yeah, you can split your lines accordingly. And finally, we are going to use coal here. There's also exhaust that comes out like the pyrolysis oven. And if you use it without the exhaust pipes, the pollution quickly escalates. So yeah, that's that. And finally, for the output, we are going to get it in the liquid form in all of the shallow foundry basins. These new materials which I'm going to showcase in a little bit. So anyways, for gunmetal, we have aluminum and copper in 1:3 ratio. Coal goes in. As there was steam already in the rotary furnace, our process will start. And you can see there's this cool little animation when it's running. And as soon as we have gunmetal, like right now, it will start pouring in and into the basin. Now it goes in the light receiver, and as soon as this will basically cool down, we'll get a light receiver made of gunmetal. Also, you can see the soot levels building up. So connecting the exhaust pipe, it can go into the chimney and pollution can be controlled. So I'm going to wait for all of this to fill up, and then I can show you all of the new components that were added. So yeah, that's how the rotary furnace is supposed to work. Make sure to continuously supply it with steam because that's the limiting part about it. So yeah, with all of that done, here are the new items. We have the light barrel used for smaller guns, the heavy barrel, light receiver, heavy receiver, mechanism, stock, grip, and two of the basically gun shells, the bullet shells, sorry. So yeah, now as you can see, the mechanism is used in a lot of parts, or basically the gun that you want to craft. Make sure to check which items are made out of which alloy. Not everything will be made of gunmetal, of course. This was just for a video showcase. Also, we have the ammo press now. for mass producing bullets. Now this can be automated using hopper. So for example, if I place the gunmetal casing, which we just made with cordite and steel ingot, it's not gonna make anything because the ammo press is not set to anything. If I set it to 9 mm, the full metal jacket, then this is the crafting recipe for it, and as soon as I do that, we get our bullets out. Now the neat part is once you set it to anything, it's gonna stay there. So for example, the armor piercing one, it will show what it requires and the ammo press will just stay there. So you can automate it using hopper. I'm using item ducts, one and the same thing. And as long as you keep on supplying it with items, it will continuously keep on producing bullets for you, and it will also automatically output them without using any sort of power. Both of these machines, the rotary furnace and the ammo press, are early game. They are not very expensive to craft. Now, as I said, the guns are tiered. So you will start with the gunmetal and light steel. And as you progress, we get into dash combined with the gunmetal. Then we have high-speed steel components combined with the gunmetal. Dash, high-speed steel, these are like the mid-tier ones. Then as we go higher, we'll go into weapon steel, and some of the bigger guns, like they will be made with the ferrouranium. Their barrels will be made with ferrouranium. So yeah, guns are tiered. And also there's a new dummy now, which can be equipped with armor in order to test how good your guns are, how much damage they are doing, because we have a lot of different types of bullets as well. But then again, we have villagers. Why do we need dummies, right? So all of the testing in this video will be done on villagers, our very own volunteers. And yeah, here are all of the different rounds. Like we have the full metal jacket, the black powder, soft point, hollow point. Uh, so yeah, basically a lot of different types of ammunition. You can craft them all. Now for the guns, if you press R while not having the required ammo for it, that will do a little inspect animation for the guns. Also, you can dry fire the guns and they will do something like this. So this is the very first weapon, which can be made without basically anything fancy. And it does 5 damage. So that's the pepper box. And with iron powder, it does 10 damage. The iron and powder type ammunition. So yeah, changing the ammunition type changes the damage. Here's the break action revolver, which once again is very cheap to craft. Now these weapons which I'm gonna show here, most of them are something that you can craft very easily in the early game. So there's the lever action rifle, the cool animations right here. And yeah, the middle mouse button, by the way, the scroll wheel that you have, it zooms in, or basically you can go into ADS with it. So we have the grease gun, the very first automatic weapon, once again very cheap to craft. The lever action shotgun, which takes in 12 gauge shells. And interesting things happen when you use explosive tanks shell. Also the flare gun. Now see what happens when you burn a target. They're converted into skeleton. So different types of damage now has different types of death animation on mobs. So burning them will convert them into skeletons. Explosions will just completely obliterate them. Something like the V1 mod used to do, the armor mod that we have. So yeah, that's the heavy revolver with armor piercing rounds. As you saw, it did collateral damage. The carbine with pretty cool dry firing animations. Silent submachine gun, which is almost like a laser beam, close range, fires extremely fast. Then we have the Liberator with the explosive 12 gauge rounds. There we go. Completely annihilates mobs which die by it. So yeah, explosive damage is like pretty cool now. Next up we have the Congo leg using the 40 grenades. So this is the incendiary type right here. There's the demolition grenade, and finally the high explosive one. Oof, big splash. Alright, so that's the Congo leg, and coming to one of my favorite weapons, the Flamethrower. It can take in every type of fuel that we had before, diesel, naphtha, then balefire. But yeah, here I'm just gonna use diesel, and you can see villagers turn into charcoal instant. So what's funny is the small villagers. When they die, they turn into big skeletons. It's pretty funny when that happens, like right in front of you. Then we have the Uzi, and everyone's favorite, the Space 12 shotgun. The assault rifle, and it looks like the FAL. And also the if you use armor piercing rounds with these, then yeah, the amount of penetration that you can get is pretty cool. We have the Panzerschreck, trustworthy, never fails you to delete a mob right in front of you. Big splash right there. And the auto shotgun. Wish we had like Dragon Bat rounds for this one. The comically long pistol. Not only does this deal like very high damage, as you can see the penetration damage on here using armor piercing rounds, but it also has a very unique impact animation. Yeah, definitely don't do this in real life. It's not very safe to point a gun at you like this. The whole new minigun using depleted uranium rounds for the 7.62 by 39. Absolutely deletes these villagers left and right. And next up we have the missile launcher, which apparently sets itself to auto target mode when in ADS, but I have not seen it fire any homing rockets. I don't know what that auto stands for. Also the AUG. And finally, we have some unique weapons like the laser rifle, which uses capacitors and instantly turns mobs, which die, into skeletons. So yeah, it can use 3 different types of capacitor. So first we had the standard one, now we have, I think, the low wavelength one or the high wavelength. I forgot the blue one, which was it. And then we have the third type, which turns them into black skeletons. The Tesla cannon, it deals like very high AoE damage, instantly turns a lot of villagers into skeletons, very fun to fire in crowds when they are all grouped up like this, and then the extremely high damage Taukin, which uses depleted uranium box as its ammunition. Finally, we also have Fatman, the M42 Nuclear Catapult. Very, very fire. Oof. That was a satisfying splash right there. And it never gets old when you fire this with the tiny tots. Because believe it or not, tiny tots is actually the best ammunition for this. There we go. So yeah, these were basically most of the weapons, the new weapons that were added. Now there are also some legendary ones, I didn't find them, and these B-side weapons, they are kind of like the augmented weapons of the normal ones that we saw. Some of them can be dual wielded like these Uzis or the shotguns. You can press the left mouse button to fire the left one, the right mouse button to fire the right one, and you can press them both at the same time to dual fire them. Basically wield them like in akimbo. So that's the Uzi right here with normal ammunition, and we have the lever action shotgun, which will absolutely delete villagers. And this reload animation, it's very fun to see. Anyways, so yeah, that were most of the weapons and how you craft them along with the bullets in the mod. This was just an overview. If you have any questions about it, leave them in the comment section below. I plan on making a more updated video for this soon. So if you enjoyed it, like it and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Peace out my guys, stay safe.